Hey everyone, welcome back to Peachy Disc Golf. Today I am here at Chattahoochee Pointe Park. It has rained quite a bit, so it is very swampy. I am going to try my best to stay as dry as possible, but I am really excited to be testing out a couple of new discs from Latitude 64. And of course, we are talking about the Royal Brave and the Royal Strive. Let's get right into it. So I've mentioned on this channel quite a few times that I think the Royal Grand Plastic is probably my favorite plastic blend of all of the disc golf manufacturers. I think it feels absolutely amazing in the hand. So you can imagine at the end of last year when Latitude 64 released their Royal box for the holiday season, and it included two new discs in that lineup, and they were the Brave, which is probably the disc that I'm a little more excited about, but also it had the Strive as well. So real quick, I don't know the numbers on both of these discs. I don't think they've published anything either, so there's just sort of speculation right now. But the Royal Brave is supposed to be an understable fairway driver, where the Strive has a wider rim, making it more in that distance driver slot. So I actually also have the Honor with me, which I believe is a 9-speed fairway driver, and the Honor has just a slightly wider rim than the Brave, not by much, so that I would imagine that that puts the Brave at either a 7 or an 8 speed. I'm not sure if the Strive is an 11 speed or a 12 speed, but it has a similar looking profile to say like a Discmania DD, which is a very understable distance driver. It's an 11 speed. So I imagine that both of these discs are going to be quite flippy, which really excites me because I have a slower arm speed, so obviously I tend to use understable discs a little more than most people. So I'm really excited to see how these fly. So we're going to do a little 6-hole challenge here at Chattahoochee Pointe Park. It has rained a ton here over the past couple of days. There are swamps and puddles. We're going to try to stay as dry as possible and hopefully get some good flights out of these discs, and I'll give you my final thoughts at the end of this video. So I'm probably going to do a mix of long tees and short tees, but we're going to start with a tricky one here. Hole 1 from long tee is 300 feet, par 3. You can see the basket is down the right fairway gap here. So really, we just want a nice little laser beam disc. So I'm going to try out the Royal Brave, the fairway driver. First impressions, this disc feels amazing in the hand. Okay, that goes, ooh, that skipped up a little bit. That was pretty straight. I kept that a lot flatter than I wanted to. I wanted to put a little bit of hyzer on it, but it didn't really turn over that much for me. It did have a little bit of a drift to the right, but I did throw it flat to, if not a little bit of anhyzer on it. That was a pretty nice flight though. It was pretty smooth. Let's try out the Strive here as well, just for fun. I don't think this is gonna go that well. I missed my line completely. Yeah, that's still gonna have some stability because of my slower arm speed. That's what I imagined. It's not gonna flip up for me that much. We actually got a little bit of a jump putt attempt here. So that was actually a pretty good throw with the Brave. Oh my, what was that? Oh, perfect. Hole 3, we're gonna play from the short tee. It's 280 feet, par 3. You can see the basket is straight ahead, just a little bit off to the left. I think this will be a pretty good shot with the Brave. If I just keep it nice and flat, we'll see if we get a little bit of turn out of it, a little bit of finish out of it, making a little S line. There is a giant lake in between the gap. That's so funny. Okay. Yeah. In the pond, just outside the pond. That was pretty nice. I definitely threw that nose up into the air too much, so I lost a bit of distance with that. Let's try out this brand new Crave I got. So I got this to replace the one that I lost at Lula. Honestly, this looks very similar to the one that I lost. This one is a little bit lighter weight though. This is 160 grams. I think the one that I lost was like 163 or 165. Let's give it a shot. Oh, there it is. Perfect. A little short there, again, and a little nose up, but that did have a little bit of flip to flat. Actually, while we're here, let's do one more throw. I have the Honor with me, like I mentioned at the beginning. Let's do a quick comparison to see just how much more overstable the Honor is. Yeah, that is significantly more overstable. Similar distance for me. The Honor is here, this closer one, the shorter one. The Brave not too much further ahead. I am sort of in this pond though, so I'm gonna putt a little off to the side of it. Oh, short. Hole 4, 730 feet, par 5. Basically, we just want to make it through these first 2 initial gaps here off the tee, and to do that, I'm going to try out the Royal Strive here. There is a little bit of a headwind. Normally, I would probably go with the Brave, but I'm worried that in this headwind, it's going to flip up too much and go off to the right. This will probably still flip up and have a good bit of turn in this headwind, but I think the faster speed will give it a little bit more stability, so let's see how it goes. Oh, I threw that into the ground, and it didn't flip up at all. Wow. So this Strive, I'm gonna guess it's closer to like a 12 speed, something that I'm not great at throwing. Although I can, with some 12 speeds, like here's the Prodigy X3 here, I feel like I get a little bit more flip out of this even. Yeah, that has a little turn, a little bit of fade. So I don't know, interesting. Okay, well luckily I gave myself a little alley to throw down. I'm gonna go with this Strive again, since it's a little more stable. I'm surprised though, this definitely seems like profile-wise, it definitely looks like it should be more understable, but I feel like even the DD from Discmania right out of the box has a good deal more flip than this. So I'm pretty surprised. Maybe I'm just not giving it enough, but I mean, it is rainy, so that definitely could be. I'm not throwing quite as hard, but we'll see. Let's try it. I'm gonna just sort of hang this as close to this tree as I can and just go straight down, and obviously this will likely fade, so don't really have much room for a run up either. Okay, that'll work. Back of the fairway at least. We'll give it one more try. On that next shot, we'll be able to run up and everything, so we'll see. Try to really put something into it, and then, I don't know, we'll see. Is it understable for me or not? So we'll give this Strive one last throw. It's a really stiff headwind too, so I would have imagined this would flip a lot easier. I think what they're probably going for is they wanted this to be a just less overstable Grace, and I feel like it is that. It doesn't have like a super hard fade to the left. The Grace for me was kind of a meat hook. Everyone touts it as like a glidey or Wraith, and that may be true, but honestly, I felt like I was able to get like a longer, straighter throws with my Wraiths than my Graces. Let's give this a try. Oh, I rolled my ankle a little there almost. Good stop. Okay, so I put anhyzer on that, and it does hold the turn for a good ways. That was pretty nice. Close, a little short. Hole 7 from the short tee, 255 feet, par 3. Just got to make it through this initial gap here, and the basket is going to be off a little bit to the left. We're going to go with the Brave here. I'm going to try to put it on a little bit of hyzer and flip it up. There is a pretty strong headwind and bursts here, so that'll be the trickiest thing to avoid. So I am going to have to make sure to keep this on hyzer so it doesn't flip over to the right. And then also, honestly, a disc that I would consider using is the Honor here. I think this disc is overstable enough that even in this headwind, I could put it on a little bit of anhyzer, ride it off to the right, and if I give it enough height, it'll still be able to fight back to the left. So we'll do another little compare and contrast between these two fairway drivers. So we're gonna start with the Brave and see how it goes. That looks good, a little short. Maybe like 15 feet, not bad. I find that both the Brave and the Strive, right now they're a bit more on the overstable side. I'm wondering, I just don't remember, because I haven't tested like a new Royal line disc. Are these plastics, like, do they start off pretty overstable and then beat in pretty nicely over time? Because again, these are pretty fresh. This is my first round using both of those discs. Whereas, oh, look at this, got it covered in mud. Now I'm using my throwing hand. Oh God. So many mistakes being made. There we go. So here we go, get that off. Let's see how the Honor goes. That looks good as well. Similar distance, definitely more overstable though. So the Honor and the Brave are very, very similar in distance, which checks out. Even though the Brave is technically slower because it's more understable, it'll carry straighter, longer. You saw the Honor, nice hyzer finish at the end. So again, something you can definitely trust in the wind. Short again. I don't know what's wrong with me. There it is. Oh, now it's in a little river. Hole 17 from the long tee, 350 feet, par 3. The basket is straight ahead. Just have a very narrow fairway to make it through. In order to get there, I'm not getting there 350 feet with either the Strive or the Brave, but I think I have a better chance of getting the line with the Brave. There is a little bit of a headwind here, at least in this open part of the hole. So I'm gonna put a little bit of hyzer, try to flip it up to flat, and just let it carry straight through the fairway as far as possible. Hopefully we don't get tangled up too much in these early trees, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, that looks okay. Oh, not amazing. How does the Brave overhand go with the thumber? We're parked, let's go. We're gonna wrap up on hole 18, short tee, 455 feet, par 4. Basket is behind that pine tree on the right. So I'm gonna be going with both discs here. We'll play from the Strive though. That's probably the disc I would go. There's a little bit of a headwind, but I don't think the Strive is gonna get affected that much. It doesn't seem like it's super flippy, so I don't think it's gonna flip over and burn off to the right, which has happened to me many times on this hole. But we're also gonna go with the Brave. Now this one I think will actually turn in the headwind. So with the Strive, I'm gonna go with my normal route, going flat down this right side and let it fade in towards the middle of the fairway. The Brave, I'm gonna actually try to pipe through these two little skinny trees here and see if we can get it to gently turn towards the right side of the fairway. Nice. That's got a lot of distance for me. That was really good. That was a really good throw for me. It definitely released a little on anhyzer and it held the turn just a little bit, but it's, like I said, it's too fast of a disc for me to turn over a lot. But I wish I would have brought a Grace to compare. It definitely feels just like a more understable Grace for me. So if I were using a Grace as like a super overstable 11 speed, which I had done in the past, using a Photon instead now, a lightweight Photon, those could be good complements for each other. Just like the Honor and the Brave are good complements for each other in that fairway driver slot. The Brave, we're gonna go down this left side here. Yep, that's exactly what I wanted. So I'm glad I finished off on this hole. It really gave me a chance to see how these discs are capable of flying. A couple of the other more narrow holes didn't really do a good job of that, but that Brave has a nice little understable flight. If there wasn't a headwind, I imagine it would have fought out a little bit more and gave me more of an S shape. It turned over and stayed turned over, but it didn't want to become a roller or anything by any means, that's for sure. Okay, here you can see the Brave. This is actually a really good throw for me. This is a lot of times where my distance drivers lands, like if I'm throwing a wave or an X3 from the short tee, I'll land here a lot. You can see the basket just past this pine tree here. So this Brave is probably a good 15, 20 feet further than I normally go. And then the Strive is like up to the left of this little tree here, another 30 feet further even. It is off to the left, unfortunately. So it's still gonna be an interesting approach. Both of these were excellent shots. Some of my best that I've ever thrown. All right, so from the Strive, I'm gonna be using the Savior, another disc in the Royal line, one that I haven't used that much, but this is basically the Royal line's version of the Zone or the Harp. So just gonna throw to the right of that pine tree, let it fade into the basket, and hopefully we'll get left with a nice little tap in for birdie. That looks great. Should be right next to the basket. Should be a 5-footer. I can't see the basket from here. You can. So, but I think we're good. It looked perfect. Yeah, just like I thought. Perfect approach with the Savior. I really liked the way that the Savior felt. Great plastic, nice depth in the hand. It's definitely a little deeper than like my A5, but it's not uncomfortable by any means. And this Royal plastic feels so good. All right, well, I am back home after testing out these two new discs from Latitude 64. I really enjoyed both of these discs, and they definitely started warming up to me the more I threw them. The Strive, initially when I was throwing it, I didn't think I was gonna like it that much. I was surprised with how much stability it has. It's definitely not an overstable driver by any means, but it being an 11 or 12 speed, just being a little bit outside of my arm speed, it definitely did not flip as much as I expected. I thought it was gonna fly similar to a Discmania DD, which Definitely didn't seem like the case. The DD for me was very flippy. It's almost like a roller if I throw it flat and hard, whereas the Strive, it'll turn a little bit, but it's not going to turn into a roller or anything by any means. Same thing with the Brave even. It also is a little bit less understable than I expected. So maybe both of these I would sort of classify in that like -2 range. I don't think they're -1. For me, a -1 usually just means it's going to go straight and it's not going to flip up too much because of my lower arm speed, but I was definitely able to get turn out of both of these. So maybe -2. The Brave definitely feels a little bit more understable even you can see that on hole 18. It turned over very easily and stayed turned over for pretty much its whole flight. Whereas with the Strive, it carried straight, had a little bit of drift to the right, but that was more likely because I was throwing into a headwind. I really do like both of these discs. They feel great. The plastic, I've said it before, is amazing. But I don't think either of them are going to be making my bag by any means. I find that the Brave definitely flies pretty similar to my Crave, and the Crave I think just has a much more comfortable hand feel for me. It's just a little shallower and the rim is a little bit smaller. I think I'm able to get similar distance with the Crave, so I would definitely keep the Crave in the bag over this. But I did really enjoy both of them. I do want to do another video where I test out all of the Latitude 64 discs and just do a little 9-hole challenge using only those discs. I really do think Latitude 64 has a robust lineup with their Royal lineup of discs now. You have your Rive as just like a nice super bomber disc if you have the arm speed for it. The Grace and the Strive here as good complementary distance drivers in that 12-11 speed range. You have the Brave and the Honor as great complements to each other for your fairways. The Honor is significantly more overstable, whereas the Brave is a little flippier, so they will actually be great complements for each other. You'll be able to get a lot of shot shapes with just those two discs alone. They have the Trust in their mid-range slot. That Savior that I threw is a really nice feeling approach disc. So I think they have a great lineup with this Royal line of discs, so I definitely want to redo that video with all of the new additions. But overall, again, these discs are great. Definitely give them a try if you're looking for something in the flippier range, either with a fairway driver or the distance driver. Give them a try. The plastic is top notch. But that's going to be it for this episode, though. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to the channel. If you enjoyed watching this little video, be sure to give this one a thumbs up and ring that notification bell so you can be notified when our next episode comes out. Until next time, guys, cheers.